Good morning. It's good to greet you again from my kitchen counter. Sunday, for those folks who follow me, I tried to record St. Paul's service and I did not hit the button correctly. So I'm back here this morning on a Wednesday, and hopefully Sunday will work out. Tomorrow is Earth Day, so I thought I would read from the creation story. It's amazing that we needed to create Earth Day in order to be mindful of the fact that we are living on a planet that has resources that are not infinite. We have a God who is infinite, but our resources are limited. And so I'm just going to read this. It's Genesis 1. I'm beginning at the 24th verse and reading through the end of day 6, which is the end of the chapter 1. And so they've gotten up on day 5. They've done earth and sky. And by day 5, God has created birds and fishes. And so now this is day 6. God spoke, "Earth, generate life, every sort, every kind, cattle, reptiles, and wild animals, all kinds." And there was wild animals of every kind, cattle of all kinds, every sort of reptile and bug. God saw that it was good. God spoke, "Let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea and the birds in the air and the cattle, and yes, earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of the earth." God created human beings. He created them godlike, reflecting God's nature. God created them male and female. God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, take charge, be responsible for the fish in the sea and the birds in the air and every living thing that moves on the earth. And then God said, "I've given you every sort of seed-bearing plant on the earth and every kind of fruit-bearing tree, given them to you for food. And to all the animals and to all the birds, everything that moves and breathes, I give whatever grows out of the ground for food." And there it was. God looked over everything and made that God had made. It was so good, so very good. It was evening and it was morning, day 6. Hi, Henry. So here we have God creating the world, our understanding of our beginning of who we are on this planet. And God is creating things really for our pleasure and to sustain us. And it's interesting that in this first chapter of Genesis, we're vegetarian. We're given the food of that grows in the earth, but not animals yet. That only happens after the flood. I'm not quite sure what changed that, but anyway, there you go. And so we have this creation story that says we are to care for the earth. In 1984, I went to a seminar at Drew University called The Greening of the Earth, the greening of the church. And it talked about hard times ahead if we continued to not take responsibility for how we were using Earth's resources. What we tend to do, or what I think I've seen in history, is that we use the resources until they give up. They've depleted, and resources are limited. And, it's amazing that farmers know this rule, that you can't keep reusing and using and using and using the same land. If you do, you play it out, or however you want to put that. You take all the good nutrients that are in that soil because it's been putting it into whatever the farmer has been planting. And so they know to let land lay fallow for a while without any crops on it, or at least rotate different kinds. Farmers who depended on the land found out how to use it to its best advantage so that they would not starve. And now I live in a reality that I have never needed to figure out what the earth was going to produce, because my grocery store produces everything for me. I walk in and I have fruit and vegetables, whether or not it's in season. In the darkest days of December, I can have green beans, broccoli, and oranges. All of that is what we have come to rely on and believe that almost is our right. But as we've seen in the last several years, our earth is getting tired of sustaining our constant greed. We want it all the time, exactly the way we want it. It's one of the things that's been hard about this pandemic, I think, is that we have never been, my generation, me, I've never been inconvenienced to any great degree. I've never gone through a world war. When the Twin Towers was hit, all of the repercussions happened in different places, not in my home. So I think that what we do as consumers, as people who use their resources, is we've used the concept of the cheapest. Whatever's on that shelf that is least expensive. I've been out shopping the last couple of days, replenishing my wardrobe after a year as if I need anything, but you know how it goes. And so I thought, I'm going to try to find stuff that isn't made in China, maybe even something that's made in the US. Pretty much I always lost because that's where cheap labor is. And that idea of sustainability hasn't been in our consciousness of how to consume, I don't think. I think we tend to consume what is the cheapest, what we can buy the most of. And so sustainability doesn't seem to enter in. I did buy new washcloths that were supposed to be from sustainable stuff, and I don't like them at all. So again, it's hard. But I don't think it's a bad thing for tomorrow to be reminded that our earth is our home, our earth that has limited resources, our earth that we should walk gently upon, as gently as we can, our earth that we should consider as we consume whatever we consume, as we pray, as we think of how God uses us and continuing to care for our planet, our home. It is our only home. And my generation, I'm old now, my generation probably will not feel the impact of our decisions as much as my son's generation, and certainly the next generation will be living with our consumer-driven, cheap way of living on the planet. Hopefully they'll find some answers to care for what we need to be done. But I know that Earth Day started back when we were killing the ozone and we were able to replenish that. Again, all that science I don't quite understand. What I do understand is that God has given us responsibility for our home, has created us in a way that we reflect God's divine nature, that human beings at their best, at their most godlike, care for one another, care for the planet Earth, which is our home, live lightly and humbly, live simply so others can simply live. We do all of those things when we are living out of our godlike nature. And for me, Earth Day is a call once again to consider what I consume, how I consume it, and know that my earth is home to billions of people, and that all of those billions of people need to have care and a place to live. It's interesting. I'll just do one more aside. I promise I won't go too long. But it's interesting that once China, with all of their population, began to get to the level of everybody owning a car like we do, and everybody having air conditioning in their home like we do. There were people who thought, oh no, China shouldn't do that because they just have too many people. So they should limit the amount that they consume. But of course, we still want to consume what we do and not be, again, inconvenienced. I like my personal car. I like my personal space. I like my air conditioning. I am not saying I'm going to get rid of any of those things. But I am saying that as human beings who live on the planet, we need to continue to think about how we can live mindfully in God's grace, knowing that according to our faith tradition, God has given us responsibility for all of the animals, all of the plants, and the planet Earth itself. And consider, particularly tomorrow on Earth Day, what that means in our faith life, what it means as we go forward to be God's people in care and guardianship of the world that God created. That's what my faith says. So on this day before Earth Day, when the sun is shining and it's a beautiful spring day out there, I pray you also consider how God might use your life to live simply so that the next generation has a chance to enjoy all that we do during these beautiful days. And know that we need to continue to work together to find good solutions that might cost us a little money, not anything we like, but will care for the world for the next generation. God is caring for us so well. God has given us so much. I am completely grateful and feeling blessed on this day as we look towards Earth Day, as I continue to pray for those who are being deeply affected still by this pandemic. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with me this morning. Thank you for sending love and support. It is a good way to be in community, to continue to be looking towards God. Enjoy tomorrow. Celebrate responsibly with something recycled. Take care. Bye.